Just a simple video, a review of this device, something that I saw on Amazon. While I was looking for other things, I thought I should pick one of these up because it could be a follow-up in a way to a video I did about handheld televisions. In that video I described how handheld TVs had died off when digital broadcasting took over, despite the fact that there was a DVB-T standard in the UK that was supposed to be for handheld TV on the go. It was a commercial failure before smartphones took up the job of receiving streaming video. So the device I've got receives what we call Freeview television in the UK, that's free-to-air digital TV, and sends it out over Wi-Fi to an app that you can run on iOS or Android devices. Now it turns out that this has been on the market since 2015, so I'm just a touch late to this party, so let's get the box open and have a look what's inside. From right to left, we've got an instruction booklet, the tuner, a USB A to micro B lead for charging it, and this tiny little aerial. I don't think I've ever seen a telescopic aerial as small as that one. And then this slightly larger aerial with a magnetic base. And then this on the end, which will enable you to plug the device into a standard aerial socket, a coaxial one, perhaps one on the roof of a house. The compact and lightweight transmitter and receiver has on the front of it a USB socket for charging, an antenna input on the left hand side, an on-off switch on the right. There's nothing on the back, and on the bottom there's a sticker telling you that the USB uses 500 milliamps. So following the instructions, the first job is to charge the device up, which I do by plugging it into a standard USB power supply, at which point the red LED comes on the top. That will go out when the device is fully charged, but you can use it whilst it's charging as well. Then scan in the QR code to get the app for iOS or Android, and upon scanning that, it turns out that in the App Store this app costs £2.99, which is a little bit of a surprise. I thought this would have been free. Looking back at that original Amazon advert, it says it costs £1.99 there though, so it looks like it's gone up as well. But I suppose if there's a cost associated with it, there's then some interest in keeping this thing going. After all, if this app disappears, then this device is going to be useless, which is always a bit of a worry with these things. Anyway, once we've got it going, it then tells us to turn the device on, and that then transmits a Wi-Fi signal, which we have to pick up on the phone by going into the Wi-Fi settings. Now, it's that one at the top, Meron 320029. So that's an unfamiliar name, and the third name I've got as far as manufacturers go, because the device comes from a company called August in the UK, yet the app comes from Shenzhen Genia Tech, and the app's called Ciano TV. But yeah, this Meron name is mentioned in the manual, but it also says in the manual that it's going to have a password on it of Meron as well. But it turns out that when I've clicked on it, it just connects up. It doesn't have any password at all. And as far as I can figure out, you cannot password protect it either. So that might be of a concern to someone. I can't see how it's a security risk, but I'm sure someone can figure it out if they really wanted to. But anyway, let me plug this aerial in here now and we'll scan for some channels. I'm going to start off with the smallest aerial and see if this picks anything up. I very much doubt it will, because in this room I get very poor reception for everything, including radio. There's just too much going on in here. But yeah, nothing at all. So let's try the next size of aerial up that we've got here. So I'll put that on and scan again, and I don't think I'm that surprised by the fact that after a full scan, again, it didn't find any channels at all. So I went and put that aerial hanging out of the window this time with the transmitter near to it, still within receiving range of the phone, of course, as far as Wi-Fi goes. And this time, yes, it's found some channels. It's found 35 channels. Now, I know I normally get more than that, and there are some missing here that are quite obvious to me, but it seems to be pulling through the data with those channels as well. So let's just try and have a look at one of them and see how good this signal is. I don't have high hopes because I've never been able to use a television with a portable aerial in this house. I've always had to use an aerial on the roof because I'm kind of in a bit of a dip in a valley with lots of buildings around. So yeah, I don't get good reception on the digital TV here unless I use a proper aerial. So let's find out. Yeah, no, that's not going to be very watchable, is it? Okay, yeah, I think it's just frozen now. So we got a little tiny bit of it. Oh, there we go, no content. Try another channel. Now these channels are broadcast as multiplexes, so you get a group of channels together, and I can see that there's a few multiplexes missing, so these must all be on the strongest one in this area, but as you can see they're just not watchable at all. So that's the strongest of the signals it's pulling in, and yeah, so I've got to say that little tiny aerial, it's not going to work in my house. What I'll have to do instead is plug this device into the aerial that's up on the roof. Now, there's one television in the house that I've got with an aerial like that. I tend to watch TV through satellite TV, but I do have one aerial. It's a pretty decent one that was put in a couple of years ago, just as a backup really, which gets a good signal. So using that and then scanning it on my iPad this time, just so we've got a bit of a bigger screen to look at, we can see that it's pulling through a lot more channels, in fact a total of 127 digital TV channels. Now I say TV channels, they're not all necessarily television, they're being broadcast through digital TV, but there's some radio channels in here as well, and there's a few subscription channels. But let's click on one of these and have a look at it. I've got to say I prefer the interface on a tablet, it's a much nicer layout on here, and it comes on fine now. Looks as good as Freeview television can look on a screen of this size. I don't see any glitches at all. The sound's okay. Let's just try another channel here. So you get the information along the bottom there. You also get, along the bottom right, it tells you the strength of the signal. There's like a bars on a mobile phone, so that's showing a full strength signal there as well. In addition, you can record the live TV, pressing the button at the bottom. You can't do scheduled recordings or anything like that, just record the TV that's on at the moment. And so that's enough of that. We'll stop it recording there and we'll go back and see if we can watch the recording we've just made on the left here. So there it is, pulls through all the data for the program as well. You can see a bin on the left I could delete if I wanted to, but I've pressed play and it's crashed out. Okay, well maybe I was a little bit hasty there, jumping around those menus. I can see it's all still connected up to the device, so let's just try it again this time. I'll just give it a couple of seconds here just to catch up on itself. Sometimes you don't want to rush these things, do you? So, right. Click play, and yeah, working fine this time. So a little bit of a glitch there, but I wouldn't call it a showstopper. Now, to get between channels, you can go back to that main menu every time, or you can just swipe across the screen like this to go up to the next channel in the list. You can see it's relatively responsive. Of course, this television signal is being transmitted via Wi-Fi from the device. There's no connection between the two as far as wires go, so I think this is working really quite well. I don't notice any problems with this at all. Now, the other thing that I've noticed, there are no HD channels. Normally they appear between 100 and about 108 or something. BBC One HD, BBC Two HD, etc. You can see the numbers down on the left there. So even though the app mentions HD at the top there, whether it's on the phone or the tablet, the device itself doesn't transmit HD. Doesn't really matter though, the quality is good enough on a screen of this size. Notice here I've got the device outside. I'm receiving the Wi-Fi signal from approximately where the arrow is pointing to in the house, and it's coming through good and clear. I'm shaking a little bit there because it's really cold outside. I thought I'd try it with that little aerial outside, see what signals I could pick up, but again, nothing. People say, well, those have a magnetic base, you should put them on a piece of metal. That's like part of the aerial, it picks up more signal if you do that. Well, not on this one. I'm getting nothing outside at all on that little aerial. However, move away from the house, take the device in the car, which I've got to apologise for the blurry video here, and then scan there. I've got 101 channels. That's just round the corner really, just away from my house, out of that valley, out of the way of other houses. It's picking up a decent signal here as well. The only thing I noticed is there are a couple of little glitches here using that tiny telescopic aerial. You'll see them here, just the odd little bit of, there you go, on the screen. So I thought I'll try the larger aerial, and once I put that on there, I didn't seem to really have any problems at all. So that was just that little tiny aerial on the dashboard of my car. So yeah, it works. But you might be wondering, how long does it work for? Well, according to the manual, the battery life on a full charge is 3 hours. So, of course, I put that to the test, streaming video from a fully charged device to my tablet. It started flashing the red battery symbol after about 2 hours and 45 minutes. And then the battery died at 2 hours and 51. So just a little bit shy of that 3 hour target. But if you want to use it for an extended period of time away from the home, just plug it into a USB battery pack like this one here, which will no doubt give you power for the whole day, if not longer. And as we mentioned earlier on, the device can receive external power at the same time as it's working. Now, my only concern about this device was the fact it came from a company whose name I'm unfamiliar with, and I thought, well, if they stop supporting the software, then you're stuffed. It might have been better paying another £20 to get the same device, it looks like, from Elgato, who no doubt would support the software. But then I looked into it a little bit further and noticed that the software for the EyeTV from Elgato comes from the exact same company as the software for this device. It turns out that that company makes the software for all of these devices. And it turns out even further that that company is behind the EyeTV because they bought the EyeTV brand from Elgato. So yes, Genia Tech now own all these devices. So it looks like this one here is a bit of a bargain because it's £20 less than the same model from Elgato, but it seems to be pretty much the same thing. I say pretty much. There is one slight difference, and that's the battery life on the Elgato is supposed to last up to 4 hours. That's an hour longer. Whether that's worth £20 extra of your money is down to you to decide. But if you fancy receiving digital television on a tablet or phone while you're out and about, well, this is just something that you might want to think about. Links in the video description. That's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.